Hi everybody, this is Alice, Bejeweled Hedgehog, and I'm here to do Crochet Tag. And yes, I am wearing light purple cat ears because I am planning on doing 3 videos in a row. And I don't want you to get bored, so I figured I would kind of change my look a little bit. The first video was just plain old Alice. This one will be cat ear Alice. And for the third one, I'll have to come up with some other Alice so that, makes it a little more interesting. I will try and keep this relatively short. I once had a boyfriend who complained, I know, here I go off the subject already, but he complained that I could not answer a question yes or no, that I always had to qualify everything, and he just wondered if I would ever shut up. Needless to say, that was a very short-lived relationship. Sorry, that's not really on the point of things. Here we go with the crochet tag. How long have you been crocheting? It depends on how you define length of time. My grandma, my mother's mother, I used to see for a week every summer. She could do every kind of needlework imaginable. And she would introduce me to crocheting, knitting, embroidery, needlepoint. And I would, come back with the skill and play with it for a little bit and then drop it. I was crafty, but I just did not have a lot of patience when I was younger. Then I got into jewelry making, and I did that for a while. I mean, this is like within the past decade. And then really the pliers and the tools and things began to bother my arthritis, and it also was not portable. So I would say I really got into crocheting. I just picked crocheting kind of at random, really. A little over a year. I mean, that I've been doing it, regularly. And so anyway, who taught me how to crochet? Well, I guess I kind of answered that, and that grandma more or less taught me everything way, way, way back in the day, so I've had exposure to it. But who taught me when I sat down this last time and really took it up as a permanent hobby? I would have to say the crochet geek, Teresa. Because once when I look at a pattern, I can understand it. But how to do something, in other words, these diagrams that show fingers and hooks and pieces of yarn, they don't work. But I went on YouTube and found her and basically watched all her introductory videos on how to do all the basic stitches, and there it went. So, thank you. What's my favorite hook size? I really do not have one. It really depends on what I am making. Obviously, the hook either matches the yarn or the hook changes the look of the yarn. Like a big hook with a fine yarn makes a really open, almost meshy stitch. But anyway, so I really don't have a favorite size. I would say that although I like to make delicate, lacy things, and I do have bifocals, but for the really tiny stuff like the crochet thread, the glasses have to come off. So I tend to stay away from that just because it's, annoying. What's my favorite brand of hooks? Well, I kind of went over that in another video. The Boy, that's a really good brand. They have the pointy noses. The Lion brand has the little snub noses. I do have crochet hooks that are bamboo that I do not know the brand. It's not written on them. I got them on a Cyber Monday sale on the internet, free shipping. I think $10 for, every size imaginable. And I love the warm, smooth feel of the bamboo. I just adore them. So at the moment, they're my favorite hook. But I don't know the brand. I guess you could call the brand Discount. Okay. What's your favorite yarn? Oh, please. I could ramble on for about an hour on that. I would say, quick and dirty. If I want an acrylic, which I frequently use, because acrylic has a lot of virtues. Besides being inexpensive, I've never met anybody that's allergic to it. It washes and goes through the dryer, so I personally think acrylic is wonderful. And I have a partiality to impeccable loops and threads, by loops and threads, impeccable by loops and threads, just because of their colors. But I also like Caron Simply Soft and Red Heart Soft because I like the soft yarns. I love the colors also in Red Heart Super Saver, but I have found that it is rough. And I also like wool. Wool heathers beautifully. And I find that Knit Picks it's an internet. As far as I know, I've never seen it in any stores, so it might be an internet-only brand. But Knit Picks makes a very, very good yarn. So at some point, I think, since most people, when they talk about yarn that you can purchase in stores, at some point I'm going to get it together and do a video on internet yarn buying, because it's not as expensive as you would think, even with the shipping added in. You can get some very good deals, and I do, because I am an avid internet buyer. Okay, what's my favorite pattern? I honestly don't have one. I would say whatever I'm working on at the moment is my very favorite pattern in the whole world. It's the very best, it's the coolest thing. And then I go on Ravelry or I open a book, and then that one is my very favorite pattern in the whole world. It's my very favorite thing. I basically have a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and the attention span of a fruit fly. Who's my favorite crochet guru? You know, they're saying guru, not designer. So I'm not going to talk about designers. I'm going to talk specifically about people who teach and give tips. And obviously, Teresa the Crochet Geek taught me how to crochet again. But also Claire, Bob Wilson 123, gave me basically the life-saving tip on how to make beanies fit. So between the two of them, they are my favorite crochet gurus. What are you inspired by? Anything, everything? Other people's patterns, patterns, I frequently take not so much as directions on how to make what they made, but as a sort of a starting point for, whatever catches my fancy. What do I use for a stitch marker? It depends on where I am and what I have. I bought, I can't find them. I bought those little plastic thingies, that come in different colors. And I think they're kind of expensive. But they're very good if you're crocheting in rounds, because generally if you stick them in, they stay put and they mark your place. There's nothing more frustrating than doing a spiral and losing your place. But if I'm going to put something down, or if I'm going to transport something, then I use a safety pin so that it can't possibly come out. And if I'm somewhere where I realize I don't have my stitch markers, it could be anything. Another piece of yarn, just whatever is at hand. What was the highest amount you paid for one skein of yarn? Ooh, okay. Oh, I meant to bring the cowl to show, because I made a cowl out of it and I kept it. But the highest amount I paid for a skein of yarn was at last year's Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And I believe it was about $40. But because I was there on Sunday, kind of at the end of the day, I got it for, I think, $37.50. And it is yak yarn. And it is also hand-dyed yak yarn. And it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful buttery yellow color. Wonderful, wonderful. Generally, well, not generally, always, I don't pay a lot for yarn because, number one, I cannot afford it. And number two, I have that beautiful cowl, and I find that I don't wear it that much because it was so expensive. And I've heard other people say when they work on really fancy yarns, they feel nervous. And it is true. I picked a pretty pattern, but I picked a very standard shell pattern that I knew I couldn't screw up. So anyway, that was my most expensive yarn. How many times have you redone a project before you got it right? If it was something I really, really wanted to make, I'd try maybe, I would say 2 to 3, maybe 4 times. But really what happens, I would guess by about the third time, is I either start improvising and just kind of doing it my own way, or scrapping it. I'm the UFO queen. Anyway, do you know how to read patterns? Yes. How do you feel when you are in a yarn store? Express your feelings. Yarn, yarn, yarn. I feel that way about beads. I feel that way about books. And ooh, don't get me started on food. Okay, do you have a lot of yarn but still feel like it is not enough? I know it's way too much, okay? I know in my head that I could spend the rest of the year using my stash and not have to buy any more yarn. So, but now there's a catchy little word there, feel like it's not enough. It never feels like enough. Give me a coupon, give me a craft store, just put me near yarn. And I just want to touch it. You know, I even like to smell it. I don't. Don't worry if you live in the DC area that you're buying yarn that's been sniffed, because I don't pick up and squeeze and sniff and put against my face yarn that is not already in my basket to be purchased, but I just like everything about it. Okay. Do you think you're a yarnaholic? I think I answered that one already. Have you ever freestyled crochet? That's mostly what I do, even when I'm trying not to. Express how you feel when you're counting in crochet and someone interrupts you. Grrr. Actually, the way I deal with it around my nieces, and they know now, is that whenever I count, I start counting loudly, out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that when they hear that, they know that Auntie is counting. And basically, if they want to interrupt me, what they do is they say the number. For instance, if I'm at 72, they'll yell 72, and then I will pause and start talking to them, because I figure if we've both said the number 72, then I know that I'm on 72. Of course, it doesn't always work, and I hate counting, which of course explains why a lot of what I do turns out to be freestyle. Do I dream about crochet? I sometimes, yeah. I mean, I dream about yarn and beads, and a lot of times I dream about being in stores where there's just this amazing, indescribable, yarns or beads or clothing. So, yeah. Do I drive in crochet? Even when the car's actually moving forward, driving, no. But traffic, yeah, because normally I take my crochet, I have some kind of project with me, and I have little portable projects that I carry in a little portable bag so that if I get a spare moment, I can do them. And honestly, sometimes the traffic can get so bad, you'll have to wait through 6 traffic lights before you can, 6 changes of a traffic light before you can get through it. Construction just stops you cold. Traffic is moving forward literally a foot at a time. Then it's driving because I'm in the car, the engine's running, and theoretically I'm getting from one point to another, but I can easily hold the crocheting up here above the steering wheel. I mean, I could probably take a nap for half an hour and nothing would change, but I'm not a big fan of driving. Okay, do I crochet at work? Only at lunchtime. Do I dislike it when I have a simple pattern but it is hard to follow due to the way it is written? Absolutely. But again, there's a quick and easy solution to that, which is look at the picture and then freestyle, and you'll come out close enough, or you'll come out some way that you like. How many UFO unfinished objects do you have? Well, I did a 2-part video on that. I did my own UFO mini-series. So, I guess you could say, I don't want to talk about it. Do I travel with my hook and yarn? I'm not quite sure what you mean by travel. If you mean when I go on a trip, if I go on an actual trip, business or vacation or whatever, I would carry something to work on in the evenings. But yeah, I carry it around with me when I go visit somebody. I don't take it to the grocery store, obviously, but yeah, I guess you could say I do. Oh my, 15 minutes. Somebody is long-winded. And they're wearing cat ears. Anyway, happy President's Day, everybody. I love you all. Bye.